Morning.
Hello, Jody.
Hi. You must be able to hear me okay. That's good.
Yep, and I can see you.
Oh, well, that might not be so good, but we'll take what we can get, right?
There you go.
Good.
Hello, Kathy.
Good morning, Chair Whiting, board members.
Good morning.
We are live on YouTube at the moment, but I'm going to go ahead and just go through this with you really quick, Chair. When we do the Pledge of Allegiance, you will see I will share this screen. And the timer, if we do have public comment, will show up in that same window where I'm at. It'll look like this.
Okay.
And that will count down from 2 minutes. There is no audible reminder, but at least you can see when their time is up. I'm going to assume nobody has connectivity issues because I'm seeing everybody pretty good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, just jinxed it. Now we're done. So.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Okay, no worries for me. I don't have, go ahead. I'll call them.
Hey, Kip. How are you, Russ?
I'm good, Kathy. How about you?
Are you tying flies?
Oh, I'm just trying to figure out a different knot to loop kind of a stretchy bungee into my fly line.
Yep.
Um, they have one knot and it works, but it's difficult. I was thinking there might be something else, but I'm not getting it. I'm gonna have to stay with the old standard.
Well, Monty, my ex, he is a knot guru. I don't know about any fishing type stuff, but knots were the one thing that he just excelled at on everything. Yeah, it was amazing.
So how was your winter?
Cold and long, but good, very good.
Ours was cold and long, but when it quit snowing, it just quit snowing and we're
Well,
done plowing.
we're supposed to get some more Friday
Yeah, but
here in cold strips, so.
we have that plow business in the winter and it's done. We've got a lot of exposed ground now, so you can't plow,
Yeah.
you just tear things up.
Yeah, so are we. So it's all dry here now. Nice to have the highways dry at least.
Oh yeah. Well, we're taking off, going to go steelhead fishing next week over on the salmon. And then on the next weekend, we're headed south to Zion Park, Bryce Park,
Oh,
and
nice.
then down to Lake Havasu. We're going to be gone for about, I don't know, a couple weeks.
Oh, how fun.
That's what I thought. It was time. It's time.
It is time. You guys work too hard.
Well, just got to get out of here.
I understand.
Yeah, the old standard knot seems to work the best.
I've always been jealous of people that know knots like that.
Pretty-
What are you tying there, Russ? It's Jeff.
Jeff, have you ever used shock gum?
No.
So shock gum is something from New Zealand, and you just tie it into your butt section, and a piece 12 inches will stretch to 16 to even up to 18 inches, depending on either your trout or your steelhead shock, salmon shock.
Yeah.
And so it takes the shock out when you set the hook. And it's kind of like a bungee cord.
Wow.
But it's a difficult thing to tie in. And really a nail knot is about the best thing to tie it. But I was thinking of something else that it's not going to work.
Now, my nail knots really only work when I'm sitting in front of the television in the living room trying to rig something up, and it takes me generally at least half an hour to get one right. If I have to do them in the field, it can be pretty painful.
Well, we're going over to the salmon to steelhead fish next week, and I like to have some tied in, if you hook a really big fish in there.
Yeah, cool.
So,
Well, I have 10:30.
ooh,
And Madam Chair, we have all board members in attendance that could attend today. Mr. Morancic is excused absent. So at your leisure.
All right. With that, I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To
to the flag of the United States of America
and to
and
the
to the republic for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
Liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
All right, the first item on our agenda today is approval of the minutes from our from our December meeting last year. It was in our board packet. Hopefully everybody reviewed them when they were sent out. Are there any changes or additions anyone would like to make?
I don't see that, they all look good to me.
Yep. Yeah.
So I would move that we approve the meeting minutes from the December 20th meeting.
I will second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? With that, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. Then we will jump right into our board member reports. We'll start with District 1. I think that's Jody, right?
Okay. Well, thank you, Chair Whiting. For Region 1, pretty much anything new from last time we met is probably they've got a scheduled closure for Yellow Bay State Park on Flathead Lake. This closure is scheduled to start on March 17th, and there's quite a bit of work that's going to be done on Yellow Bay, moving some things around, some road work, moving around some campsites, and some other improvements. It's going to take some time, but I think it's due.
This meeting is being recorded.
I think it's great. It'll be exciting to see some changes there on Yellow Bay. Flathead is extremely busy, and camping there is in high demand. So this is going to take some time. They're hoping to reopen on July 1st. So we'll see how that goes, and I look forward to seeing some improvements and being able to report on those. There was, let's see, Region 2. I attended a CAC meeting last night in Missoula, and the Region 2 is gearing up with their temporary staff and looking at getting camp hosts, volunteer camp hosts lined up for the upcoming season. Most of the meeting was spent as we discussed the legislature, and they're in transmittal right now. And our chief legal counsel, Jeff, was there and gave us a legislative update. And it was great and informative. And probably the other thing I thought was worth mentioning is now we're nearing the end of winter, and it's been a great winter recreation season. I love the winter, so I kind of hate to see it go. Maybe it'll come back a little bit, but I attended the Montana Snowmobile Association banquet in Great Falls in February, and the MSA had just completed their Trans-Montana charity ride, and this is a week-long ride that they do annually, and that riders come from all over the country, and they ride for a full week, and they visit different trail systems around the state of Montana, and it's hosted by the local clubs where they take them out, chaperone them, and take them into their areas. And so you got a report from them at this ride, and I guess the snow was the best they'd ever had. Every place they went, the snow was fantastic. They had 40 riders. They had to shut it off because once you get more than that, it becomes a challenge to herd these cats, as you could imagine. And it was kind of neat because they had 6 ladies that joined this ride, which is the first. It's because, as you can imagine, it's a pretty big commitment, and it's a challenge as well. And so one of the neatest things that I thought was worth bringing up to you guys is that this is a charity ride. So the proceeds for this ride goes to the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I just always call them NAMI. And they've donated the proceeds to this organization for several years because they feel so strongly about it. The money stays in Montana. They do a lot of work. That organization does a lot of work for veterans issues like PTSD, suicide preventions. And it's just fantastic because they raise every year tens of thousands of dollars go to this organization. The numbers aren't in yet, but this could be another record year. So it was just fantastic. And I bring this up to our parks and outdoor recreation side of things because this wouldn't be possible without a robust trail system. And we've got about 4,000 miles of groomed trails in the state of Montana. And FWP's Parks and Outdoor Recreation Department manages this grooming program, and they just do a fantastic job. I know it's a ton of work because they have to work with all the local clubs, and it's a big job to keep the program up and running. So I just want to give a hats off to FWP's Parks and Outdoor Recreation staff for all the work they do, because without this trail system, this is one of these fruits from your labors wouldn't be seen. So it's just fantastic. They also the Montana, our FWP grant program has a trail stewardship program, which also partial funding for the snowmobile grant program comes from the trail stewardship program, which is also managed by the FWP Parks and Outdoor Recreation staff. So my hat's off to them. Thank you. And it was a great year, and I hope it continues. And I'll hand the microphone back to you. Thanks, Liz.
All right, District 2, Russ.
Okay, since our last meeting, right before our meeting, we had the annual wreath walk at Bannock. And they put wreaths on doors on the buildings in Bannock. People go around, they vote for their favorite, and then they have a silent auction at the headquarters. At the end of the day, the money goes to the Bannock Association. The numbers came in, they made $700 that day on the wreaths, and Bannock Association uses that. They're helping provide siding for one of the rebuilds on a building this year. So that $700 from that event. On January 11th, the Bannock Association held its annual dinner and silent auction at the Lewis and Clark Room at Western Montana College. That silent auction also brought in $700. That's kind of a good number they're working on. So again, more money for that Bannock Association, which goes right back to Bannock. The Bannock Annual Cleanup Day is May 10th this year. Volunteers sweep out the buildings, clean windows, pick up debris, rake leaves, and clean up campgrounds. Volunteers are always needed. You know, if you so inclined to come for a day of work on a park, get a hold of the park manager, John Phillips. Bannock Days will be held July 19th and 20th this summer. This is a very fun event with lots of vendors and time period displays and demonstrations. If you'd like to volunteer to help set up, take down, park cars, pan gold, build dolls, or any of the other variety of tasks that need to be done, again, John Phillips, the Bannock State Park manager. I know that Jody and John come down 2 years ago for it. Liz and Kathy would like to invite you down to Bannock Days. So that's really all my report. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. District 3 is me. Just a couple of fun things that have been going on. In February, we had our Winter Trails Day. Of course, state parks were there. Good turnout. Lots of snow. Coming up actually on Friday is the full moon hike at Buffalo Jump State Park. And then of course, next week or 2 weeks, we're having the art show out at Buffalo Jump State Park. So fun stuff going on around my region too. Kathy, District 4.
Let's see if I can get, oh,
We can hear you. Oh, now you're on mute. Kathy, you're on mute. There you
Okay.
go.
There we go. All right,
Yep.
thank you very much. Actually, there's anticipating there's been such a good uptick since COVID even in local tourism and so on. A lot of people coming into the Makoshika area and southeastern Montana areas. Some of that maybe is, or I truly believe is good to the good work of the Southeast Montana Development and company and so on, and our tourism dollars and whatnot at work. But also, even the locals are starting to enjoy it, which I don't think they ever did. When I grew up, nobody ever went into the park much or did anything. Now they do, and they're really enjoying the trails. This is good. Or do a lot of events like Moonlight over Makoshika and so on. Still working on the Matahay Trail, doing that deal. The one thing that you'll always hear mentioned by everybody that mentions the outdoors recreation there is we need more campsites, especially water with campsites. And I know that they're working on that strongly right now, especially up on Gunner's Ridge. Actually, that's all I have to say right now.
Great.
It's been a pretty steady uptick, and I think they anticipate this summer's going to be good.
Awesome. I think it will be too. All right. Director Clark, do you have a report for us?
Yes. Hi, Chair Whiting. How are you?
I'm so good. Thanks.
Good. Good. Members, great to see you all. The legislature's been keeping us busy. It's been everything legislative around here for the most part. They are on transmittal break, so we do have a little bit of breathing room this week. We're pretty grateful for that. During the legislature, we meet daily. We're down to about 3 times a week. The staff meets in the mornings, and then we have constituent meetings once a week. So we have really good interaction with all of our partners, industry partners, and that's been really helpful. Most of our bills are making it through the process just fine. We lost a couple weird ones. We lost the changing wolves to fur bearers, little things like that. But for the Parks Board, there's 2 usher bills that are making it through the process. One is a trail stewardship bill, and another one is a bill that would take rental fee from snowmobiles to enhance trails. So those would be 2 that would be nice additions for the Parks Board. This is just fun trivia, 495 House bills were transmitted, 289 Senate bills, for a total of 784 bills transmitted to the opposing houses. 426 bills failed, which, is probably not enough, but, we have one more. We have another half of the session to go. And 17 bills have been signed by the governor so far. Our budget is making it through the process intact, mostly one slight amendment, but it's pretty inconsequential. So we feel pretty blessed that our budget has not taken any big hits. On the federal level, we are monitoring the federal budget cuts and the changes to those federal agencies as that impacts our agency. All of the divisions have put together a list of federalist overlap assessments so that we can really monitor those. If any more of those federal agencies will see budget cuts or reductions in services, we'll be able to respond fairly quickly. We have some new staff that I'd like to introduce. Cody Pierce is our new officer for the fiscal division. Amber Steed is the new Region 1 supervisor, and then Renee Lemon, who I will turn this over to because I think she has a report, is our new parks administrator. So welcome to them. And that is my report, Chair.
Thank you so much. With that, Administrator Lemon, would you like to introduce yourself and then give us your little report as well?
Absolutely. Good morning, Chair Whiting and members of the board. It's very nice to meet you virtually. I just wanted to give you a little bit about my background since I'm not familiar with you all. So I started my career in land use planning and community development, which included some parks and recreation planning. And that was at the local level or community level. So I worked in Bozeman and the Gallatin Valley and the Bitterroot, and then Ennis and the Madison Valley. And then about 10 years ago, my family moved to Helena, and I started my career with the state, first with Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. And then I moved over to the Department of Commerce. I was a division administrator for their community development division. And then I also was at the Department of Revenue as a deputy division administrator. So I've been at a few different departments now, but I really enjoy being in the division administrator role. And I also like the challenge of working at the state level and figuring out how can we be most effective with our policies and our programs across all of the differences in the communities across Montana. And I'm honored and privileged to now be leading what I think is the best division in all of state government, getting to lead and be responsible for our state parks and recreation resources that we have here. So I'm ecstatic to be here. Throughout my career, I've also worked with citizen boards, just like this one, and have found immense value in hearing about your perspectives and the discussions and ideas that come out. So I really look forward to getting to know each of you and understanding the board's role in the work that we do, and also figuring out how staff can give you the information and support that you need to be successful. So that's what I have for an introduction today. And again, look forward to meeting you all someday in person. Thank you.
Awesome. We're super glad to have you. All right, let's move on to some of our action items. Beth Shoemate, you want to start off with our rules variance for brand new Judith Landing State Park. Whoop, whoop.
Yes, absolutely. Good morning, Chair Whiting and members of the board. Beth Shoemate. I am the Assistant Administrator at the Parks and Outdoor Recreation Division. And I just want to first say that we are also elated to have Renee on our Parks and Outdoor Recreation Division team and at FWP. And also welcome to Cody Pierce as well. Excited to get to work with her and Amber Steed in her new role. So just wanted to mention that. So with that, I will turn to the first action item. I will be presenting the public use rule variances for Judith Landing State Park, as well as the upcoming AmeriCorps program agenda item. So I'd like to first start by thanking the State Parks Foundation, as well as the Parks and Recreation Board members for the opportunity and the continued support of the Judith Landing State Park acquisition, which was approved during the December meeting. And since that time, the property has officially been transferred in fee title to FWP from the State Parks Foundation. That occurred in February. And we are honored to take on the responsibility of managing this historically significant site. Region 4 staff who are online today with us out of the Great Falls office have been, and also we have some staff beyond Great Falls, such as our cultural resources program manager, Brenna. She's also been working hard behind the scenes to prepare the site for the visiting public while protecting the existing historic structures and the cultural resources. So over the past year or more, we have been presenting to the board what we used to refer to as deviations. We are now calling them variances. These are variances to the consolidated public use rules that serve all recreation and conservation properties administered by FWP, and they are listed in ARM rules. And as we prepare to open this brand new state park, public use rules need to be applied in order to maintain public safety, and so people just know which activities are allowed or not. The following proposed rule variances will help provide clarity as visitors plan their trip to Judith Landing while ensuring consistency across our sites. These include food storage rules in order to reduce wildlife conflict, weapons restriction to prohibit the use of rifles and discharge of weapons except during the commission established hunting seasons, while also establishing a designated safety area around the main visitor use area, including existing buildings and the parking area. Trapping would be allowed, but limited to a small number of trappers below the water surface only and with written permission as a requirement. We feel that this helps strike a balance to provide these opportunities, especially for some of these traditional activities, while also mitigating conflict with other recreational uses. FWP recommends adoption of the proposed rule variances as presented. The recommendations help support consistency and clarity regarding the opportunities and the rules at Judith Landing State Park, while also providing for ongoing public safety. So with that, I'll stand by for any questions that the board might have. And we also have Region 4 staff online as well.
All right, any questions or discussion from board members? Russ?
Just a question about trapping. Currently, are there any trappers trapping in that area? And with those trappers, they need to have written permission. Who are they getting the written permission from for that park?
Yeah, Chair Whiting and Board Member Kip, I might defer a little bit of the historical use of that to the Great Falls office. But as far as the written permission, they would also work with the Great Falls staff in order to ensure that we know who does have that written permission. So Alex and Cannon, I believe you're in the room.
Yes, Jason. Good morning. Thank you for the question. Chair Whiting, Board Member Kip, at this point in time, we do not have a solid picture of the trapping that has historically occurred on that property, as we were not the previous owners, and we have not got that information from them. I think we desire to strike a balance, with the traditional use of the property, the history of that area, and public recreation at the site. So I don't have a great answer for the question of what's occurred there in the past. All I can comment on is that in the future, the permission to trap on the property will require written permission, and that will come from the recreation manager of the site, Cannon Colgrove.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion from board members? Would someone like to make a motion?
Chair Whiting?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Jody. I move the State Parks and Recreation Board approve the proposed rule variances as presented by the department.
Is there a second?
And I would second that.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
Well, Madam Chair, we had no registrants for public comment for this meeting, and unless the regions have some, there will be none.
Any public comment? Going once, going twice? With that, let's do a voice vote. All those in favor of the proposed motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Back to you, Beth.
Okay, thank you, Chair Whiting and members of the board. I am now presenting the second action item, which is for approval to provide a letter of support for the AmeriCorps program. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks AmeriCorps program has been incredibly successful for the past 13 years. Since the AmeriCorps program was initiated in 2012, members have treated over 5,000 acres of park lands for noxious weeds, worked on 224 miles of trail system restoration efforts, provided public programs to 170,000 students and adults, and have recruited 6,500 volunteers for larger projects across state parks and various education programs, such as aquatic invasive species, as well as interpretive programs at places like First Peoples Buffalo Jump or Missouri Headwaters. FWP has a strong relationship with the Montana's Governor's Office of Community Service, and we are fortunate to have another opportunity to apply for the upcoming 3-year grant cycle. The grant application does require some letters of support, as well as matching funds to display the commitment level from the host agency. This grant proposal will include a request of 15 AmeriCorps members to be located throughout various state parks, visitor centers, and educational outreach coordinator positions to help strengthen community outreach and volunteer capacity and partnerships. Performance measures will include the completion of at least 26 miles of trail and/or river corridor rehabilitation, the treatment of at least 88 park land acres for noxious weeds, while educating over 9,000 people in environmental stewardship best practices. All of these efforts help strengthen and foster community and tribal partnerships, which in turn increases stewardship and a genuine caring for Montana's natural and cultural resources. There are a couple of public processes and input opportunities coming up this spring after FWP would submit the grant application in April. The Governor's Office of Community Service typically holds a grant review work group meeting, and that is scheduled for May 14th in Helena. And that work group consists of a review panel that's selected by the Office of Community Service and is open to the public. And then they make a determination for the application, which in turn the governor's office then reviews and makes recommendations for a final determination at the commission meeting on May 16th. This meeting is also open to the public. So the Parks and Outdoor Recreation Division recommends the approval of the board's letter of support for the FWP AmeriCorps program due to the fact that members significantly contribute to the agency's ability to provide educational opportunities in environmental stewardship while tackling important weed control and land and trail improvement efforts. With that, I'll stand by for questions. And we also have Dwayne Schlaba, who is our AmeriCorps program manager, and he's online as well.
Great. Are there any questions or discussion from board members? Yes, Russ.
Okay, I've seen the AmeriCorps people at Bannock, and they're very, very helpful to the park manager. They're in the visitor center, they're in the town, helping whatever projects he's got going. And there are spraying weeds and working on the sidewalks, which it could be at the trail system, and just always busy, very helpful to the park manager there. So I'm in full support of whatever we can do to continue having them as a part of our state parks in Montana.
Thank you.
Chair Liz, I
Yes.
agree. I concur with that because I know a young lady who was an AmeriCorps volunteer. I know the commitment she put into it. She was a very athletic, very brilliant young lady, and she brought a lot to the area that she was working. What was amazing to me was her level of commitment. She wore out a good pair of hiking boots, bought a $300 pair of hiking boots and wore them out. So, you know, they really do work and do a good job for our, to supplement our employees.
Great. Jody.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Whiting. One question I had is, like the motion says that the Parks and Outdoor Recreation Board will write a letter, and then language before that is provide the letter. What will this could be for Beth or Liz, you might have some thoughts on this too. How would the drafting of this letter take place? What would be the involvement of the Parks Board, or we just kind of work through this internally?
Jody, I'll take a first stab at it, and then maybe Beth, you can add to it. But basically, it's the same letter that the Parks Board has approved in previous years. It just states that our support, the invaluable resource the AmeriCorps volunteers are, how much hours and miles, basically what it's kind of what Beth already shared. It just says that we support them applying for the grant.
Okay.
If I missed something, Beth.
Yeah, Chair Whiting and Member Loomis. Yeah, that's correct. And we can help provide any of those specific numbers, especially to the board before their signature.
Most grant applications kind of have a standard format that they want to see. So we will rely on FWP to follow that standard format and fill in the blanks.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
All right. Is there any public comment? Eric?
Madam Chair, we have no public commenters online, and unless the regional offices do, I'll defer to them to answer that.
And for the board members' information, we did receive the one public comment in favor of the AmeriCorps, us supporting the AmeriCorps program with a letter. And if none of the regions have anybody there, let's take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
We need a motion.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I jumped the gun. Thank you.
And I'll do that motion.
Great. Thank you, Russ.
I move the Parks and Outdoor Rec Board support the FWP AmeriCorps program and write a letter of support to include in its upcoming grant application.
And I would second that, please.
Great. Now, is there any further discussion? With that, let's take a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you so much. Do we have anybody else from the public that would like to comment on something that is not currently on our agenda? Was not on our agenda?
Madam Chair, we have no public commenters online.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, board members. Especially thank you to FWP for helping make our job so easy. If I would just read the notes, it would be even better. But thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
You did a great job, Liz.
Oh, thanks, Russ.
Thanks, Liz.
All right. Have a great week.
Okay, how do I get out? Just close out.
And for all those currently attending the Parks Board meeting, the chair was cut off and she did respond via email that the meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone.